Today I wanted to create a video that would help you do your makeup as you're doing your makeup. So sis, get your makeup out. We're gonna do our makeup together. If you've been trying to do your makeup and it never comes out right, I highly suggest just watching this entire video and actually getting your makeup out and doing it with me. This video is gonna be kind of long, FYI. So get you some water, sis. Get you some water and get you a snack or something because it's gonna be a while. Generally with me, I like to start off with a primer even after washing and moisturizing my face with my regular moisturizer, like my daily moisturizer. I like to use a primer. I feel like a primer helps keep your makeup on all day. It also helps your face to look a lot more smooth if you do have texture. Even if you don't, I feel like a primer is just a nice shield of protection for your pores so that the makeup like doesn't seep into them, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's really a thing, but I just feel better when I use primer. I love to use the NYX Honey Do Me Up primer. This has honey in it. It has a natural antiseptic property to it. It has gold flakes in it, which honestly I really don't see when the product gets on my face, and it also has collagen in it. So I really like this primer because it makes my face really glowy. I don't like to look dry when I do my foundation or my makeup, so I really like this NYX primer. So I'm just gonna use the applicator on this just to apply it all over my face. And you really don't need a lot of this. A little bit goes a long way. And you want to always make sure that your hands are clean before you touch your face. I like to keep a little alcohol spray bottle right next to my desk because then I can just spray my hands, rub them together, and then they're sanitized. Or you can just wash your hands, but I like to touch things in between doing my makeup, so I just really like to feel clean, especially when I'm touching my face. So I'm just gonna rub this in. Oh, this primer just feels so refreshing on the face. It's like so refreshing. So primers are based on your skin type. So I would choose a primer that complements your skin type. If you are oily, I would suggest looking for a matte primer. If you are dry, I would suggest this NYX primer. And if you have large pores, I would suggest getting a pore filling primer that has silicone in it. So honestly, I would just get a primer that complements your skin type. My skin is generally combination. I get oily in my T-zone area, and then I'm pretty much normal everywhere else. Of course, I'm acne prone, but I'm just talking about skin type. You know what I mean? I usually like to double up on primers. I know it sounds really crazy to add so many things to your face, but I swear to you, it makes a huge difference. I like to use the NYX Honey Do Me Up primer first because it's nice and hydrating, but then I like to smooth over my skin and make sure that my makeup looks nice and smooth. So I go in with the Cover FX blurring primer. Primer has to be my favorite primer at the moment because it doesn't have that really silicone-y, slippery feeling on the face. It fills in your pores, it smooths over your skin, but it doesn't make your makeup slip around. And then I just like to apply it right here in the center of my face first because that's where my pores are pretty large, and then I kind of just spread it on the rest of my face. And especially since it's so hot outside almost everywhere, I would suggest priming if you want to wear makeup because your face will melt off. Of course you're gonna sweat, but your makeup doesn't have to be slipping and sliding everywhere, sis. Like, it doesn't have to. Okay, so we're done priming. Next, I like to go in and color correct or conceal. Generally, I love to use the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. Today, I'm using the color NC45 because the foundation that I'm going to be using today is a little bit too dark for me. So I wanted to use like a lighter concealer to actually conceal any blemishes that I have because this concealer is a little bit lighter, and when I put on the darker foundation, I feel like when the two mix, they'll kind of balance each other out and it'll make my foundation look better. So I like using the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer first because I feel like using a concealer before your foundation just helps you use less foundation, and it just helps cover the areas that you really want covered, and then this way you don't have to use a really full coverage foundation. Generally with me, when I use full coverage foundations, the foundations are really cakey. I don't like a cakey face whatsoever. Like, I can't stand when I can feel makeup on my skin, so I like to go in and conceal first before I go in with foundation. Now if you have perfect skin, you don't have to do this step, sis. You can just skip it. But if you want your makeup to look flawless, I feel like everyone has something that they want to cover, so use this first and then go in with a medium coverage foundation, and I guarantee you your life will be forever changed. Forever changed. So I just like to go ahead and pump one pump of the concealer onto my hand. Literally just one pump is all I need. I like to just pick up any brush that's in front of me, but today I'm going to use the Makeup Geek Outer V brush. I like to use a smaller circular dome brush to apply my concealer because I feel like I don't waste as much product, and it's really small, so it gets into the areas that I want to like attack. So that's what I'm using today, and I'm just going to go in and conceal some of my dark spots. And I know I'm gonna look really crazy right now after I do this, but I promise you it will all come together at the end. And I like to do any active bumps that I have last, so I'm gonna leave this guy. We're gonna name him Freddy. Freddy has come to the party, so everyone say welcome Freddy. Like, I can't even get mad at pimples anymore because it's a natural thing that happens when your body produces too much sebum, and I feel like when I'm on my period I always get a pimple. Like, alright, Freddy is about to disappear. And I did put tea tree oil on him before this makeup tutorial. So while this is drying on my face, I like to just sit here and kind of play on my phone for a little bit, for about 5 minutes before I go in with my foundation, because I've noticed when I go right in on top of this with foundation, the concealer tends to sheer out and you can see like the darker areas through my foundation. So I just like my concealer to just kind of sit for at least 2 minutes on my face before I go in with my foundation, because if I do, it's just gonna mess up everything and nothing's gonna dry and it's just gonna be a waste of my time. So I'm just gonna sit here for a second and I'll be back. I'm gonna use my Bobbi Brown Skin Long Wear Weightless Foundation. I really like this Bobbi Brown long wearing foundation. This lasts me all day long. I like that it's not super cakey on the skin and it gives me that nice, fresh, awake, alive, like clean slate type of skin, you know what I mean? This foundation is a little pricey, but I love it. I also really like their stick foundation. I feel like foundation is something that is worth investing in because it's something that you're always going to use. And I feel like any makeup really is worth investing in because I love makeup, but this is really good, so I'm going to use that today. This has a pump, which is awesome, and what I like to do with any liquid product generally, I like to put it on my hand first. So I'm gonna take 2 pumps. I like to put most of my liquid products on my hand first so that my natural body heat heats up the liquid product so that when I put it on my face, it just melts into my skin. Trust me, it's tested and tried. I've tried it multiple times. I've tried not doing it. I've tried doing it. And I feel like my foundation just comes out a lot better. So today I'm using the e.l.f. powder blurring brush. This is one of my favorite brushes for applying foundation, and you can get this from Target, you can get this from Walmart, and it's very affordable. And I feel like this brush is really good for foundation because it's densely packed and it spreads the foundation really evenly, and I really like how my foundation goes on with this brush. I have about 5 of them so it's really good. So I'm just going to dip my brush on my hand, get most of the product off. And then I'm just going to start patting the foundation in the center of my face first, and then just kind of spread it out. And I like to pat my foundation in first. Like just pat it in. This. I just like to press it into the skin instead of kind of swiping it. Just kind of stippling it on. This. And I just kind of make sure I get my neck down here, and I really swipe down here because, I mean, it doesn't need to look super perfect down here. And then I'm just going to take a little bit more of the foundation because I like really full coverage. I'm just going to pat some more to my forehead. Today I'm going to take a little bit of that foundation and just go on my eyelids because I'm not doing any eyeshadow today. So I'm just going to take some of that foundation and just use circular motions and buff the foundation into my eyelids. I've just made it a routine to do my base first and then go on with my eyebrows. Just because I feel like anytime I do my eyebrows first before doing my foundation, I feel like my eyebrows get messed up and I always have to go back in and retouch them up anyway. So that's why I do my foundation first and not my eyebrows. So for eyebrows today, I'm going to use the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade in Ebony, as well as my Zoeva 317 Wing Liner Brush. So as you can see with this brush, it's very, very thin. I love to use this wing liner brush because it's so thin. When I actually apply the dip brow pomade, it looks like hair. Now I know this is a beginner makeup tutorial. Generally with beginners, I would not start off with a dip brow pomade, but this is personally something that I like to use. For eyebrows, they have eyebrow pencils. They also have eyebrow pens. They have a lot of things that you can use for your eyebrows, but for me, I always go back to my dip brow because I don't know, I'm just so used to using it. I forgot to put my contacts in now that I'm looking at my eyes. That's probably why I can't see that well right now. 1 second. So don't mind my eye, it's watering. I just put in my contacts, but these are Desio Cappuccino, by the way, because I know you guys are gonna ask. Generally with my eyebrows, I like my brow hairs to be actually standing upwards, so I'm going to use some of the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Plumper. This is a brow gel mascara, so this is going to help your brows stay in place all day. So any way that you kind of spoolie them up, they're going to stay in that spot. So I really like using brow gel before I go in and do my brows because it really helps out a lot. The spoolie and just brush my brow hairs upwards. So I just let that sit there for about a minute and I kind of fan my brows so that the brow gel kind of dries down. So now I'm going to go ahead and use my dip brow and my wing liner brush. And what I like to do is actually get some of the product out like this. Kind of make the brush have product on both sides. And then because we want our brush to be as thin as it can possibly be, I'm going to place some of that product on the back of my hand, focusing on the brush and less on the product because we want the brush to be very thin. So we're kind of manipulating it so that the brush is super, super thin like this. So now, as you can see, the brush is paper thin and we can go in and do our brows. Just a tip, I like to use 2 mirrors when I do my brows. I have a dirty little mirror. This actually has a light on it. And I also have a bigger mirror in front of me. So I can see how my brows look from far away as well as close up. It just helps when I'm actually going in and drawing in hairs and stuff. So what I like to do first is I go in underneath my brow first. And I kind of create that arch that I want. And then I kind of flick it out with a really light hand. Right? And then I do the top. And you can create whatever shape you like. But I like a really arched brow. And then I go in and fill in the outer portion first. Like so. And I like to focus on the areas that don't have hair. Then I just go back in on the back of my hand and get some of that product off. I don't dip back into the product. I just fill in the areas that don't have hair first, like that. So now you have the outer part of your brow. Then I'm going to take some more of the product off of my hand. And now I'm going to create that line to actually give our brow some shape. I'm just going to draw a line like this towards, so I'm just going to draw a line towards the outer part of my nose. I like to take this line right here. So right where my nostril starts, I like to end my brows right there. It just makes my face look a lot more symmetrical. So that's where I like to stop my line at. We haven't dipped back into the product at all. You can kind of heat it up with your breath. And then kind of get more product off your hand. We're still dipping off of our hand, not into the product. And now we're going to create some brow hairs because me personally, I don't have any brow hairs in this portion of my face. So I'm just going to create some, and I'm going to start in the middle and just kind of flick my brow or my brush upwards. Just kind of create some hair. And I'm going to dip back onto my hand again and create some more brow hairs. And you just want to hold your brush upwards like this and kind of flick the brush upwards. And you just want to touch up any areas that are not filled in. So this is a brow almost complete. Now if you're doing your makeup with me, pause the video right here and do your other brow, because I'm going to go ahead and finish my other brow and I'll be right back. So you can pause it right here if you'd like. Now what I like to do is go in with a concealer underneath my brows. So today I'm going to use the Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer in the color Mocha. These concealers are so good and the bottle is as big as a foundation. So I like to put that on the back of my hand first because this has a doe foot applicator. Just put it on the back of my hand first. And then I'm going to go in with my MAC 242 brush. This is my favorite brush to use when I'm going in underneath the brow. And I'm just going to take some of the product off of the back of my hand, just making sure that the product is dispersed evenly on my brush. And I'm just going to go in and conceal right underneath my brow. You want to make sure that there's not a lot of product on your brush when you're going in underneath your brows, because what can happen is that a lot of the product can get caked right underneath the line of the brow, and it can be really hard to blend out. So I'm just taking my time and going right underneath the brow. So I'm just going underneath, and I'm not even applying eyeshadow today, but I'm still gonna cake on some concealer right here. And I'm just gonna make sure it's really even. And this brush makes it really easy to make sure everything is even. Just to sheer out the product a little bit more, because we're not doing eyeshadow today, I'm going to take this brush right here. And I think I got this from Juvia's Place when I was at an event. And it's like a really flat top eyeshadow brush. And I'm just going to pat the concealer out with this brush, and this is just gonna make it a little bit more even, and this is gonna take some of the dewiness away. Hey sis, go ahead and pause the video right here. Go ahead and shape out that other brow on the other side and play the video when you're ready to start again. So since I want a really crisp, defined eyebrow, I'm going to take some of my Bobbi Brown Skin Longwear Weightless Foundation that we used earlier, and I'm just going to put that right on top of that concealer. And I'm going to take that same brush that I used earlier and flip it over and use the dry side. And I'm going to take some of that foundation off of there, and I'm going to go around the top portion of my brows as well. So as you can see, my brow looks a lot more in shape. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. Sorry, I couldn't really talk while I did that side. So I was trying to figure out what I was going for. So I just take some of the product, make sure all the excess product is off of that brush and that you have only what you need on this brush. And you just go in and kind of outline the top portion of your brow. I like using the foundation shade because then I don't get that crazy halo eyebrow. And then I just go in with a basic blending brush and blend out that harsh line. For concealing underneath my eyes lately, I've been loving the Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer, the same concealer that we used on our eyelids. I'm going to use that to conceal any dark circles, like if you're tired from last night, if you went out or something like that, definitely conceal underneath that area. Or if you just want to look super bright underneath here. This step is basically just concealing any dark circles. This is just to brighten up the face as well as give the face some more dimension, because when we added our foundation we kind of took away the dimension and personality from our face and we kind of created a blank canvas. So now what we want to do is kind of go back in and sculpt our face back out. I know it seems very silly. It seems very silly and kind of like, what's the point? But makeup is fun. It's supposed to be fun. You just gotta highlight and you gotta contour when you beat your face, because your face will not be complete. So I like to use the Born This Way Multi-Sculpting Concealer. I use two colors because I like the way they look together. I'm going to use the colors Mocha and Chestnut to highlight or conceal underneath my eyes, down the bridge of my nose, my cupid's bow, and on my chin. If I'm feeling a little crazy, I will put some on my forehead. Now, if you do have a large forehead like moi, do not highlight your forehead this much, like, because it's gonna make your forehead look bigger. You want to highlight the areas that you want to stand out. So I only put a little bit of concealer right in this area, down the bridge of my nose, underneath my eyes, cupid's bow, and on my chin, because you want those areas to actually stand out. I suggest using a concealer that's about 2 shades lighter than your skin tone if you want that kind of brightened look but not too much. If you want something that's more poppin', like a really bright under eye, you can use something that's 3 shades lighter than your skin tone. It depends on your preference. Honestly, you will not figure that out until you've done your makeup a couple of times and played with some products. Then you'll figure out what you kind of like and what you don't like. What I like to do is kind of just place a couple dots underneath my eyes, because this concealer is so full coverage. I don't even need that much of it at all. Just put it right underneath where my dark circles will be, and then I kind of just create these little dots right here. I just make sure that they're in this general vicinity right here, and then I also add the color Chestnut into the mix, just right on top. And seriously, with this concealer, you don't have to kind of cake it on. I'm telling you, you'll see in like 2 seconds. It's super full coverage and it looks good without caking it on. And you guys know I like some cake, but you don't have to do that with this. And I'm also going to take the color Mocha, just a little bit of it down the bridge of my nose. Like literally, you only need dots of this concealer, I'm telling you. I'm going to put some on my cupid's bow right here, a little bit on my chin, and I'm going to put a little bit of Chestnut on my forehead. Ooh! Because this is the darker color and I don't really want my forehead to stand out, but I do want to highlight it a little bit. So with this concealer, I would not suggest letting it sit for too long because it won't be easy to blend out at all. So what I like to do is go in with my Eco Tools Beauty Blender, and I love this thing because it has a really like flat surface, so that it's really easy to get right underneath the eye and blend out any concealer. So with any beauty blender that you use, make sure you run it under some water, get it damp, and make sure you squeeze out the excess water so that most of the water comes out of the sponge. You want it damp but not dripping wet. So that's another tip. And just go in and blend that concealer out. I just like to pat the concealer into my skin like this. See how full coverage that is? Like full coverage. Look at that. I barely needed that much concealer, like full coverage. That is some heavy duty concealer right there. And then I'm just gonna go in and do the other side. And I like to look up when I'm patting my concealer out because I feel like it helps get in those creases of the eye. And another thing, don't be super anal about your concealer creasing underneath your eye, because everyone has creases. As long as it doesn't look like super creasy, like really bad, don't be super anal about it, because everyone has those lines. I swear everyone has those lines. And don't try to get rid of them either. I feel like aging, there's like a beauty in aging, you know? That's just me personally. I don't know. I also like people with gray hair too. I think it's so pretty. Like people that have a full head of gray hair, I think it's cute. That's off topic, but I think it's cute. So I'm just gonna pat that concealer out. And like I said, I like this little angle because it makes it really easy to get into the tight spaces like this. Like that. And while you're blending, make sure you blend out your eyebrow concealer. While you're at it. So yes, at this point we're gonna look crazy. Since I ran out of my Laura Mercier powder, I'm gonna take my Patrick Star MAC powder. This is a really nice powder that they actually sold out of, but it's the only powder that I want to use today, so I'm going to use that. Any translucent powder that you find works for you, works for you. A translucent powder is something that is a grounded, loose powder. You can apply it with a brush, a beauty blender. You can apply this all over the face if you like, but I only like to use this in my highlighted areas and also to conceal underneath my contour, which you will see later on. The drugstore has some translucent loose powders that you can try. Personally, I like higher end translucent powders because translucent powders can make or break your makeup. But any translucent powder that works for you and your skin tone would be great. I like to use a translucent one or one that's a little bit lighter than my skin tone so that it'll brighten up my under eye. What I like to do is take that same sponge and I just dip it in the translucent powder so that the powder is on the sponge like this. And I like to go in and just make sure underneath my eye is actually blended out. So I'm going to take the butt of it because I already put some translucent powder there. And just make sure that there's no like extra creasing underneath there. Like that. And I'm just going to go in with the powder right underneath where I would crease first. I'm going to do that to the other side as well, like right where I would crease. Put it there first. And then I dip my sponge back in and I just take it everywhere that I just highlighted. I'm dipping right back in to the top. I put the translucent powder in the top and I'm gonna kind of non-tour my nose. I'm gonna take that translucent powder down the sides of my nose like this, and this is just gonna create an illusion that, I don't know, my nose is smaller. I don't care if my nose is my nose, but when I'm beating my face I just want it to look symmetrical, you know what I mean? So I'm also going to take some of that translucent powder, just a little bit, and go over my eyelids. And just kind of bake my eyelids a little bit because we're not adding any eyeshadow today. Then I still have some translucent powder on my thing here. So I'm just going to dip back in and I'm going to go on my chin area. I'm going to put a lot of translucent powder above my lip. This is where I sweat the most. Right here, translucent powder helps to absorb oils in your skin, and it also helps your face not to get super oily throughout the day. And I like that it highlights my face. when I do it like this. So we're putting translucent powder in the areas that you want to stand out.
Hi.
We have a special guest interrupting our makeup tutorial. Say hi, Lonnie.
Hi.
She just woke up. Excuse my daughter's hair. But she's still cute. She's still cute. So now I'm going to take my Real Techniques sculpting brush. I think this is what this is called. And I'm going to use this brush for almost every step from here on out. This brush is very versatile. And I'm going to show you guys how I use it when I don't want to use a ton of brushes. So I'm going to take that Real Techniques brush and I'm going to use my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in the color Dark. And I've showed you guys this multiple times, but if you're new here, this is a really, really good trick to get your makeup to look nice and smooth and flawless and photoshopped. So I take that brush, dip it into this mineralized powder. This is a finely milled mineralized pressed powder in a pan. And it just makes your makeup look so smooth. I promise you, if you buy this, it will change your makeup game forever. Sweep that baking powder away with the mineralized powder. And as you can see, it looks like really, really smooth underneath the eye. And I'm not buffing the powder in, I'm just sweeping the translucent powder away. My lips are really dry, do not judge me. So just sweeping that powder away, kind of buffing it in to unknown areas. Sweeping the powder away, sweeping the powder away. Just make sure that you don't get powder in the contouring areas of your face because we have to add some cream product there. So ideally what I would do is go in and contour my face right now, but what I'm gonna do, because my eyes are looking lonely, I am going to do some liner and put my lashes on. So I'm gonna zoom you guys back in. Today for eyeliner, I'm gonna use the Fenty Beauty Uncensored lipstick. I'm gonna use my Zoeva wing liner brush and I'm gonna take some of the product on the brush, kind of just like how we did our brows, but without putting it on our hand. And I like to start at the base or the corner of my eye and then kind of drag it upwards like that. Then I'm just gonna pull it down like that. Then I just go in and fill in the bottom part. And I like to do the very end of my wing last because I have less product on my brush. And it doesn't make it look super heavy at the end, if that makes sense. Make a little line like that. Make sure it's not even. Crap. It's not even. So these really come in handy, these little. This is a good little mess up so I can show you guys what to do. I'm going to take a little bit of makeup remover on this little Q-tip like this. I'm going to erase that line that we just did. So since we erased that line, we need to put the concealer back over it. Take a dry Q-tip to get some of the makeup eraser or the makeup remover off so it's not slipping and sliding around. Take some of that concealer again and just kind of pack it back onto the eye. And I'm just using this brush. I didn't put any concealer on this. It has concealer left on it. Hey sis, go ahead and finish the other eye and then press play after you're finished and we'll keep going. Still, I like to curl my lashes before I put on my falsies because the false lashes sometimes look funky and weird without your natural lashes curling into them. I go in and I like to apply my Better Than Sex Too Faced mascara, and this also helps with that problem of the two lashes looking like they're not together anymore. So I just apply that. I do this every time. Oh! Okay. This is another lesson, guys. I'll show you how to get rid of that when that happens. So, yeah. Okay. I hate when this happens. Hate. If this happens to you, let it dry and I will show you what to do with it in a second. So now I'm going to take my lashes. I'm going to use the Salon Perfect 614 lashes today, and I double them up. I put 2 lashes on top of each other. This is what they look like when you buy them, but I put 2 on top of each other and this is what they look like. I am going to use Salon Pro exclusive hair bonding glue. Yes, do not drag me. I use hair glue for my eyelashes because it's the only thing that holds my lashes on all day long, and it does not take my eyelash hairs out. I do still have my lashes and I've been using this for years. So do not try to play me. Oh, I apply my glue on my lashes like so. So I just take a little bit of the glue and apply it to the lash like this. Now you don't want to cake on the glue, because caking on the glue, especially if you have color on your eyes, it'll bleed and mess up your eyeshadow. So you don't really want to add a lot of glue. This amount is just fine. A tip for you guys that are just starting out doing your eyelashes, try getting a tool like this. These are Eyelash Tweezers and you can get them at Ulta or on Amazon. I will have the link down below for everything for you guys. But these are amazing at getting your lashes right where you want them. And it takes like one step to just put your lashes on. Now if your lashes are a little straight, go ahead and bend them like this to curl them to make them fit on the hood of your eye. I'm going to place my eyelash in the eyelash tweezer like this. And I'm going to get as close to that lash band as I possibly can with the tweezers. So it's going to look like this. And then I'm going to place the eyelash, holding it upwards, placing it down into my lash line like so. So you want to make sure that the center is secure first. And then I do the ends. And then I like to squeeze my lashes together. And then get your handy dandy Q-tip and wipe away some of that excess glue. Place the glue on there like this. You don't have to let this glue dry, like this. And then I'm gonna look down so that I can see the base of my lashes. Hold my lash up. And place it right there. Oh. And make sure your tweezers don't have any glue on them, because you won't be able to let your lashes go. You place your lashes down and then you let go. And you squeeze them together and secure the bag. And if you just can't get those corners in there right, try using regular tweezers to secure the sides. So now I'm going to show you guys how to get this little guy off right here. Take some alcohol. Take a spoolie. You can use any spoolie. Doesn't really matter. Wipe off the spoolie so that there's no residue on it. And then you have to let this spot dry. And then you kind of just scrape it off. And then you just take a little bit of your foundation or powder, whatever you used, and just go over it, and it fills in the spot. I'm going to apply some mascara to the bottom portion of my lashes, and what I like to do is kind of wipe off the tip because it has a lot of product on it usually, and then I just go along the bottom of my lash line with the tip of the mascara first, and then I take the barrel of it, looking really like crazy, and apply mascara to the bottom portion. Ooh, I hope I don't get mascara on me again. Recently, I've been loving cream contouring. I'm going to use the Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. This is in the color Cocoa. This is the deepest color that they have, and I'm going to use this concealer to contour my face. Contouring is basically hiding the areas that you want to fall back or creating a shadow in places that you want to not stand out as much. So generally, I contour right below my cheekbones. Let me explain it like this. So if you place a darker color next to a lighter color, the lighter color tends to stand out a lot more. So that's what I feel like contouring is. I also say that about eyeshadow. If you place a lighter color next to a darker color, especially like a lighter color on the lid and then a darker color in the crease, it makes your eyes pop a lot more because the contrasting colors makes both of them pop. So that's what contouring is, if I explain that properly. I hope I explained that and it makes sense. I'm going to take that, I'm going to take the little wand, and I don't like to use a lot of this because it can get kind of muddy, but I put a little bit of it right here, right like below my cheekbone, and then I put a little bit of it right here. And like I said, this concealer goes a really long way. You do not need to use a lot of it at all. And I'm going to put a little bit over here in this area, like right here, right along my hairline, really. And I'm going to put it all the way along my hairline. And I'm not adding any more products because you guys already know this product is very potent. Like, I do not need to use a lot. So just to contour my nose a little bit because it does get lost in the sauce of all of this concealer, I'm going to take the tip of that concealer and go down the sides of my nose because I want this area to fall back and I do want my nose to stand out, and this just chisels your nose a little bit. So I go down the sides of my nose, and then I also put a little bit on the tip of my nose. I don't have an explanation for that, I just do it. I don't know, it just looks better. And then I take a little bit as well on the bottom portion of my jaw. And some people like to put some like right here. I'm gonna highlight right here. It just makes your lip look a little bit bigger. I always forget to blend it out though, so I'm just going to take my beauty blender and just blend out this concealer See how far that spreads? Like, I didn't have to put that much concealer on at all. And then I'm just gonna blend out the concealer like this. See how nice that looks? Because in the past, when I used to cream contour my face, it never used to work out because the colors were just way too muddy. So you really just want to beat your face at this point, because you really want this to be blended. I'm just gonna do this side. Oh, I kind of messed up, but it's okay. I'll show you how to fix that. Just go down this side. And this concealer dries kind of fast, so. Oh, jeez. Okay. Then you just want to do the bottom. Kind of just swipe the bottom. Then I take my beauty blender and just go down the sides of my nose. This sponge is like the best thing ever. When it comes down to contouring. Okay. And then you take the butt of it and just blend everything out. The key to doing your makeup is literally blending, blending, blending. What I like to do after I put a cream down, I always set it with a powder. And I love my Bobbi Brown bronzing powder in the color Deep 4. It gives you such a nice sun-kissed contour or bronze to your face. It looks like the sun like kissed you. So I'm just gonna apply that on top of that cream so that it lasts all day, and it just adds some more color to our face. And this looks like a regular pressed powder, but it has tints of red in it, but not too much red to where you look crazy. It's like a nice bronzer for deeper skin. I'm just gonna put it everywhere that I contoured, including my nose. So after I do my cream and powder contour routine, I take some of my translucent powder, again, using the same sponge, and I like to make sure that my contour doesn't look super sloppy. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not perfect, so I need to clean up a lot after I do my makeup. So I like to just go in underneath my contour and clean up. So I just create a really sharp line right underneath my contour. Remember I told you guys that if you put a lighter shade next to a darker shade, it makes both of the areas pop? That's what we're doing right now. So I'm just gonna make sure that both sides are even and just kind of create a line. So since we did contour a good amount, you can also place some powder in the center of your nose just in case your contour was a little bit wonky or you put too much contour on the sides of your nose. So you can place some powder right here in the center just to create a really sharp line there. I'm just going to show you guys how to do it, even though I didn't even need to, but I'm going to use that same Real Techniques brush that we used earlier, as well as the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in Dark that we used earlier, and I'm going to sweep this powder away. from underneath here. You see how it kind of makes our contour a little bit more defined? So just kind of go on top. You don't want a really defined line unless you like that kind of stuff. I don't. Just kind of clean it up and get rid of that really sharp line. So kind of blend the two together, but not so much that you wasted your time when you put that powder underneath there in the first place, but just make it look kind of even. So next, I'd like to go in and use blush. I'm going to use that same Real Techniques brush, and I'm going to dip into this. I don't know how this looks anymore. I haven't used MAC blushes in a minute. And what I'm going to do is actually smile and just layer the blush on top of that contour. Just making sure everything is still blended and nothing looks crazy. We're just adding slight color to the cheeks and then blending it upwards into our contour. Now you can skip blush if you want to. Some people don't like blush at all, but I feel like it just adds some color to your face. So now we're going to move on to highlighting. I'm going to use my Wet n Wild P75 brush. This is like a large blending brush and it's made for your face. So now I'm going to take my Sun Dipped Glow Kit by Anastasia. This is my favorite highlighter for deeper skin. I'm going to take the color Bronzed. I'm going to go into that. As you can tell, I love this shade. These highlighters are not glittery at all. So generally, I like to highlight in areas where the sun would hit. So I highlight right here below my brow bone and up here as well. I also highlight the tip of my nose and the bridge, a little bit on my cupid's bow, and a little bit on my chin. So I like to just go right here and just tap some of the highlight on. I like sweep it on first, and then this highlight is intense. And then I just go up above my brow like that, and then I just kind of sweep it across my face. I'm gonna go in and do the other side. So I'm just going to apply the product right here on this side, like this. I'm just kind of blending it out as I go. I'm going to put a little bit underneath my brow bone right here, just so that when the sun hits, we look poppin'. And then just blend everything out. Then I'm going to go on the tip of my nose, bridge of my nose, cupid's bow, and the rest on my chin. I like to go in with a makeup spray after I do my makeup. So I use the MAC Prep and Prime Fix Plus spray. Now I know this is not a setting spray, but I use it as one. And I feel like a lot of people use it as one because it works. And this just feels so refreshing on the skin. It takes the powderiness away from your face because I don't like to look powdery at all. I just feel like it makes you look like you have a mask on your face. So definitely invest in a setting spray because it just helps your makeup not to look so dry and cakey. So you're almost done. Take a second, grab your favorite lip gloss or your favorite lipstick, apply it, and then you're done. You did it. Thanks for watching this tutorial, guys. Make sure you thumbs it up if it helped you. Leave a comment down below if you need help. Subscribe, like, and I will see you in the next video.